I noticed that these are labeled 1 to 5, but I don't see any difference. They're all 2017. Is there?
That is the point. It's a blind. It's blinded sample. So we wasn't able to deliver the wine of every single producer. So we decided to select 5 producers and to be equal, to be honest with everybody. We covered the name of the producer that been selected and so the wine that been delivered to you. So I do not know who's the 5 producer you receive, and same for you. So it's something
fantastic.
So,
fantastic.
2017, when the samples was delivered, the most of them was samples from the tanks. So all the producer sent to the consortium samples of 2017. At the consortium, a bunch of taster did the blind tasting and taste all the wines, and they select the 5 wines that for them describe better the vintage. So we know who's the 5 producer, of course, so they've been selected, but as I told you, to be politically correct, and because we're the consortium, it's blinded. But of course, that's nothing changes. As we said before when we was talking each other, next year you'll be in Montefalco and you'll be able to taste the entire portfolio of Montefalco area and met personally every single producer.
So just a fundamental question: how many producers are there now currently of Sagrantino de Montefalco in?
At the consortium are subscribed 70 wineries. But totally wineries in the area are about 100. So there's 100 producers, 70 of them, and we're talking of the largest production, of course, are members of the consortium.
And so these 5 wines, which producers are the 5. You don't know which order they're in.
No, I do not know. I have no idea. And to be honest, producer didn't took part to the tasting, so all of us didn't have the opportunity to taste those 5 samples.
Okay. So. Well, let's start with those 5. I mean, I'm very excited to try these.
Cool. Of course, I will follow you with my mind. I cannot do the same with the glass, but
so we start with number 1. All right, good. Let's go. So, I mean, I've read a lot about Sagrantino, that it's a very tannic grape. So I'm expecting a powerful wine. But is there just a general formula for the DOCG? Well, do they have a certain rule that it's 1 year that it has to be aged in some kind of big oak vessel before it's released,
Well, before to talk about the prototype, in terms of fusions of the grapes, you starting say that the first main fusion is the tannins. Yes, but not too. That was a very old message. Let me use such terms. Yes, in the past we used to say Sagrantino, it's a very brutal tannic wine. But this is a very old story. We were talking of a wine that was produced in such way 20 years ago. It was another period. If you remember 20 years ago, wine should be very dark in color, very deep, very huge, full body. The most of the winery at that time, they used to have barrique and age the wine in barrique. Many of them, the new wine used to go in barrique 2 times with new wood, just to say had vanilla, had tannins, had. That was the time of had. Now we're living in a different period where we're seeing reduced. So talk about Sagrantino in terms of tannins, as we used to do in the past, it's not right anymore. Okay. It was true many years ago. It's not definitely right right now. Today, as happening in Piedmont, today producer learn how to handle Sagrantino, how to make it right, how to move the Sagrantino from a huge wine that was something we was looking to 25 years ago, to a wine that is fresh, crispy, elegant, preserving, of course, at the same time, the main aspect, the main features of the wine, that is the ageability, that is the complexity of the nose, that is the beauty of the color. So we preserve the things that was properly working, and we keep on side things that was working as we are wishing today.
Okay. So maybe cooler fermentation temperatures as well.
Oh, many things. First of all, we have to say that all Sagrantino area, whole producer of Montefalco area grows up in knowledge and grows up in terms of technology. We have to think to a territory that 25 years ago was very far away from the one we're living today. The most of the grower, the most of the producer, they used to work with whole tanks. They didn't have a refrigerator for temperature control. They didn't have the right pump or the right tools to do the daily job. So they grows up in terms of experience. At the same time, they grows up in terms of technology. And of course, wine grows up. At the same time, many oenologists start to comes to the area, works into this area. 25 years ago, oenologists that was in Montefalco area was just few. We're talking of few wineries. You can use the things of the hands to count them. Mm-hmm. So today, with the so large number of producers, there's a lot of professional people that daily work on the territory, and those persons supporting, help the growers to grow up and become what they are today.
I really like this first wine. It has a very sort of bright cherry, bright fruit, you know, very red fruit, and it's quite nice, the nose.
Thank you so much. And today we're talking of 2017 that was we delivered it to you. And you know, we introduce ourselves not in a simple way, because we talking of 17. 17 was a very sunny season. So during the summer it was very hot, and I remember such vintage as a tough vintage in the vineyard during the grower season. So it was a vintage where grower experience was fundamental. And there's vintages like, you know, 2001, 2010, where things comes easy because you had the right sun, the right rain on the right moment. But as you know, because we send you a presentation of the vintage, 2017 was tough. So growers had to do their best to show you the wines you are now drinking and having on the glass.
So number one really has a kind of crunchy fruit on the nose, and there's a bit of I guess you could say kind of wet earth, but not really. It's like fresh earth, you know. It's
well, I know what you mean, because it's something that I daily smell on the wines, because, you know, Sagrantino have such kind of smell very often, so you can move from you call the dust of the bullet. It's you know, on
the is it the is it stony kind of thing, or
Yeah, that's what there is. That's the name. Well, now I'm missing it.
It is on the palate. There is quite a bit of tannin, and it's a powerful wine. But I like you have that sap, the juiciness that helps it. You know, and I think
the most of the ones you're drinking, they never age in bottles. So as I told you, that was samples from the tanks. So Sagrantino, from prototype point of view, is obliged to be aged in bottle at least for a month before to be released on the market. So the product say at least 1 year in wood, maybe big case or barrique, that's depending from the producer, and 4 months in the barrique. But the wine can be released after 3.5 years from the production on the market. So it's a wine that should age, and even more, it's a wine that need and deserve of the bottle before to be released on the market and probably being drunk. So you are receiving something in advance, respect the typical process. But that is the idea of anteprima. Into an anteprima, you have the ability, you have the opportunity, you have the chance to taste in advance before than anybody else anymore.
That's great. So basically, all these 5 wines are not yet on the market. They're still being, they're not yet released.
Exactly.
When will they be released?
Probably the most of the wine they are going to release such wine in the beginning of next year, mids of next year. Just talking about a medium, because there's some producer that released just few of them that released the wine a little bit earlier, and other producer that then prefer release the wine 1 year later. And so in a medium, we can say that 2017 vintage can be available on the market just from the middle of the next year.
Okay.
For the consumer.
So I'm going to try number 2 now.
Okay.
Number 2. All right.
Of course, Montefalco, it's a very complex area. Montefalco is developed mostly in Montefalco village, that is technically an hill, but it's surrounded by other villages like Bevagna, Castelritaldi, Giano, and Gualdo, and a portion of such other villages are part of the DOC and DOCG appellation. And in any corner, we have different microclimate conditions. So the wines from the different corners look so different in terms of texture, in terms of tannins, in terms of body and freshness, and so on. So we try to give you an overview of the different corners. That's
great. Yeah, I guess you have different, where the vines are in terms of the slopes.
Exactly, just Montefalco, there's 4 corners. There is southern side, northern side, east, west. But then you slope down on the hill, and another hill restart that is maybe Bevagna Hill or Castelritaldi Hill or the other villages, as I told you before. And there, it's true that it's close by, but it's a different area with a different soil, with a different temperature, with many small differences that make the wine different.
The second one seems to be a little more like minty, like a spearmint kind of thing going, and it has a certain slightly more density on the palate, maybe a little more textural density. It's interesting, whereas the first is a little brighter and fresher. So they're quite different, actually, but they're both quite tannic. I think And again, you don't, it doesn't have to be 100% Sagrantino. You have other, or does it? I don't remember.
No, well, Sagrantino wine should be produced with 100% Sagrantino grapes.
100%. Okay.
Montefalco Rosso, differently, it's a blend, you know, and it's based on Sangiovese, where you can have the other grapes like Merlot, Cabernet, Barbera, Hells, and Sagrantino.
Yeah.
So you are obliged to have in Montefalco Rosso the Sangiovese and the Sagrantino. Then if you want other varieties, respecting the percentage into the product.
So always when it's Montefalco Sagrantino, it has to be 100%.
Yeah, we give you the best.
That's great.
We're not going to boring you.
All right, let me try number 3.
Let's go.
Let's go. All right, so number 3. Yeah. Now this is a little more, almost a little slightly more rustic in the tannins. It's a little more almost metallic, and yet there's a lot of nice fruit as well. It's fascinating. There's some earth. Again, there's more of a like wet earth, whereas the first one was more leafy, more vegetal. This is a little more just like iron in a way.
I know what you mean.
Quite nice. I like the nose. It's intriguing me.
Sound great.
Yeah, third one's quite interesting. It's not quite as tannic on the palate as the first two. It's tannic, but I think it's more ready to drink. I think I could have that with a piece of steak now or something like this.
Well, you know, you said exactly a beautiful thing.
Really?
That is something I really love. The most of the time when we taste the wine professionally, our mouth is clean. But this is not the same situation we used to have when we really drink the wine. Because when we drink the wine, if we not look into the wine as like something to go drunk, right? We're sitting on the table, we are enjoying a good food. And think a moment when you have something that had grease, you know, you said a steak, but maybe a lamb, maybe
lamb,
other stuff, salt, many stuff. When you have grease on the mouth, you have to remove it because grease, it's something that seals your palate and forbidden you to deeply taste what you're drinking. So your food change your ability and to taste, but not in terms that you're not able to taste, but change the feeling. So the wine looks different when you drink it with food or when you drink it by itself. It's fine what we do, it's our job, drink it by itself. Right. But we have to think that the consumer, the really hand, drink it with food. And it's another game. Yeah. It's totally another story. Beautiful story.
Okay. I mean, I'm looking forward to finding out what they are. Will we find out after?
Following you.
Okay. So number four. Here's number 4.
Number 4. Let's cruise ahead.
Let's cruise ahead. All right. Okay. I might just turn on another light just to get a little more light.
Oh, take your time.
All right. Number 4. Is that it? Yeah. That's quite floral, actually. Yeah. Very fresh, very almost balsamic, you know, like herb, fresh herb, you know.
That is another feature of the Sagrantino. Sometimes you have a meat sensation or herb sensation. Certain corners of Montefalco area develop such kind of smell very often. So as I told you, it's depending from the corner you're tasting now.
So this is really nice. Salud. Friends. I'll have to try the ones later. So I think there's quite a bit of tannin as well on the finish, but this one is very, very ripe and full-bodied. There's nice acidity.
That you said that this is important. You said acidity. Well, a certain side of Montefalco have the ability to develop an high acidity, and so the wine, in terms of freshness, it's appear much more fresh than any other corners.
I think this is my favorite one of the so far. I really like number 4 because I like that chopped herb, the acidity, the ripe fruit, the tannin, and it's a nice balance. Very nice. Yeah. Do we know about the alcohol? I mean, they tend to be.
Well, 2017, it's a vintage where the alcohol is not really low. I think that the most of the wine can be around 15%, 15.5%, more or less.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you really notice it as much as that. It's funny because I was thinking, you know, when you look at the wines, they have a lot of tears. You know, they're very, so they're thick, and then when you taste them, the acidity is so important because you don't really get that sense of heaviness.
You know, certain times, people when going to the enoteca in the shop, buying a bottle of wine, they used to keep the bottle turning and read the alcohol. And from the alcohol, they try to understand if the wine is a strong wine or if a wine is a delicate one.
Right.
At the really end, it's not true, because the wine is just one element into the cycle. And there are certain times where a wine of 13.5%, you smell it and you feel the alcohol. And other times, a wine of 15.5%, you smell it, but you do not feel the alcohol. Why? Because, as you said, the acidity, the freshness, but at the same time, the structure, the body of the wine, it's in balance with the alcohol. So this wine is perfectly round, is perfectly working because of its own alcohol. If you have a so rich wine with a 13.5% of alcohol, probably the wine doesn't look as well done as it is in the moment. Like now, because you're drinking now a wine that is perfectly in balance.
Okay. Well, yeah, it is. It seems quite nice. So this is number 5.
Okay.
Cruising right along. Okay. Okay. And the colors are always quite, you know, for each of these wines are, you know, more violet than ruby. You know, they're pretty young looking. You know. Okay. Okay, this one is, I think this nose is the least expressive of the 5. It's more closed. You know, we just opened them about maybe, you know, half an hour before the tasting. So, you know, maybe. That one's quite powerful and a little closed in. It's the least expressive, but it has good balance. It has sap. It has, you know, the alcohol and the acidity are balanced. But I think this one might just need more time, you know. Yeah, it's the most sort of closed down, number 5. Great. Fun.
Well, as I told you, for us, today it was important to have the opportunity with you to give you a general overview of the area and leave you the curiosity to come to the Montefalco area and keep all the cake.
That's really nice. But I mean, we've got some other wines to taste. So, I mean, I've opened all of them, so we could go through the rest as well, if that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Should we do this one? This is the Montefalco Pasito. Or should we go to the whites now, or
okay, okay.
Should this come at the end? Maybe because it's Pasito, it's a little bigger. What do you think?
Well, Sagrantino Pasito is a historical product of the area. If you talk with the old grower, we're talking of grower at the beginning of the previous century, they was thinking to the Sagrantino as a sweet wine. And the Sagrantino sweet wasn't a wine to trade. It was a wine that was produced mostly for carabinieri captain, for the mayor, or for the doctor of the village. So it was something to give for present, to share with the people of the village. So it was a wine, it was the wine of the tradition. So the wine for Christmas, but at the same time, it was the wine for Easter breakfast.
Ah,
so, you know, in Italy, breakfast, you know, in Italy, breakfast is just croissant and cappuccino. No, we do not used to have huge breakfast, but there is an exception, that is Easter. So in Easter, we have a cheesecake, but it's not your cheesecake, your sweet cheesecake. It's a salty cake with cheese, with pecorino cheese and Parmesan cheese. So, and it used to be slided and paired with salami, boiled eggs, stuff like that. And the Sagrantino Pasito was the wine of his breakfast too. But as I told you, was the wine for Christmas Christmas lunch. So one of the best pairing of Sagrantino sweet wasn't, as we know today, something that comes with the dessert. It's not a dessert dish. It was free-range wild pigeon. It was the lamb. I want to suggest you something to pair with the Sagrantino sweet if you have the chance. Maybe later in the night before to have your dinner. If you have liver, try to cook a tiny piece of liver on just on the fire, easily, and try the liver with the Sagrantino sweet. It's a perfect blend.
What is the Easter salty cheesecake? What's the name of it?
We call it cheesecake. But it's not the cheesecake that all the world know. The one that is sweet. It's technically a pizza, a tall pizza, and it's like a bread, and it's done with Parmesan and pecorino cheese, a lot of pecorino. So it's very tasty, and it's used instead of the bread. Mama, sorry, Mama, please. my mom came to the office. So.
That's nice. My partner's here too with her mother, so we're all fine. And then but you could have the pasito with that cheesecake too.
Oh yeah, together with the salami and the boiled eggs.
So I have another one here that you have, the Memoria 2000.
Oh yes, this is Col Petrone wine. Yes, we know.
Should we try that now?
Oh yeah, for sure. We can taste all you want.
Let's try that one. So it's with the French barrique, 12 months, and all right, 2013. So this one is in the market already. This one is being sold.
Yeah. It is. But here it's even much more complicated than in the dry version. In the dry version, more or less all the producers are releasing the same vintage. Into the sweet version, into the Pasito version, oh well, everybody have his own idea, and there's producer that want to release it after 7 years, 5 years, 8 years. That's it.
And Col Petron is the name of the owner or the vineyard?
Col Petrone is the name of the winery.
Yeah.
It's not the name of a person.
Okay. So why did you choose this one? Is there something special about it?
I believe that in this case, for the sweet version, the Sagrantino simply keep it blinded without look who was the producer. As I told you, we are the consortium and we represent everybody. So we cannot say we decide to deliver such wine instead these other ones. So it's mostly something that is sorted, and the lucky one is the one that's going to be delivered to you.
That's very nice. I mean, the
Memoria is memory.
Yes, I wasn't sure how to pronounce it, so
Memoria, fine, you did it fine.
So it's not this isn't a sweet wine. This is a dry wine, the Memoria.
Well, that is the point. It's true that the wine is sweet because it's sugar residual,
Well,
but at the same time, the wine have the same structures and energy than the dry one. So at the beginning, the wine goes into the mouth sweet, but immediately after, the wine is dry. So
dry.
it's for this that in the past always been matched with salty dishes. And for us, that we are indigenous, it works much better with salty because it's the opposite futures than the wine. Then you can have chocolate with the passito, but my personal point of view, you cannot go over than 65% pure chocolate. Otherwise, there is a sobreposition in terms, and the wine and the chocolate try to go on the same direction, sweet and dry. But if you use a dish that is salty, it's the opposite futures, and the wine match properly.
So, but it's fascinating because, yeah, okay, there's residual sugar, but we don't. I mean, how much? Because it doesn't seem like all that much. Is it maybe 10 grams? Is it 20 grams? Is it more?
Oh well, no. The wine should be at least 60 grams.
At least 60 grams. Wow.
At least 60 grams. So, and probably is more than 60 in this case.
This one right
But
here.
it's the combination. It's the but it's the combination of the sweetness because of the drying process with the structure and the body and the character of the wine. So it looks less sweet than it really is.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I do get that richness.
Yeah.
But as you said, it finishes dry. So I was confused.
God bless us. So we did a good job if we
did a great job.
you.
Okay. Maybe we'll go now to the passito.
Yeah.
And then we can go to the whites. Or do you think that's kind of ridiculous?
No, it's fine. It's fine because with the whites, then we rinse and clean our mouth.
They cleanse the palate. Okay.
Exactly.
All right. So this is
and our whites are able to do such stuff of jobs. So
but why does the Memoria not have passito on the label? I mean,
I don't know exactly if Memoria. You told me that was a passito, so I don't know if Memoria is a passito or not.
This is the passito. This one.
Ah, okay. I don't know if Memoria is a passito.
Yeah, I don't think it is a passito.
If there isn't right passito on the label, it's not.
See, it doesn't say.
No, this is a dry version. So
yeah, that's what I thought.
It was right before saying that the wine is dry and you do not feel the sugar because this is not a passito version. Okay. Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. I wanted to be
sorry.
Sure. No, I wanted to be sure because yes, there is richness, but I had a hard time believing.
Oh, sorry, because when we had the five samples, I suppose that we ran out with the dry version and we was jump to the sweet version.
Okay.
Sorry.
But let's talk a little bit about this 2013. I mean, how was the vintage in 2013? Was it also
2015? It was a very
13, 13.
13. 2013, it was again a very hot vintage, very similar to the 17 you had before. I can say that the two vintages, they're almost similar. They looks like each other. So it's well, you know, that is a very good combination, because you can see what happened to a warm vintage like 17 thanks to the 13 sample you showed.
Okay. Yeah, because this is a very dry wine. So yeah, anyway, I was confused. Okay, now we'll go to the Pasito. Now we'll know this definitely has and that's Di Filippo.
Sì, Di Filippo, fine.
And this one is 2015.
Okay, cool.
Oh yeah, I see. It's very it's almost
Deep.
syrupy, the texture. It's almost, you know, like oil a little bit, you know.
A different density, of course.
Now it has 13.5 alcohol. So how did they stop the fermentation, or did they add dry grapes? Or how did they added?
There's a different way to stop the fermentation into the Pasito. There's in this case, you're right. Probably the producer decided to stop the fermentation at this alcohol level, and can be done or with the temperator. So you create a thermic shock. So you move the wine to a so low temperature where the yeast are not able to survive, or you can add sulfites and kill the yeast. That is mostly depending from the producer and the idea of the producer to make the wine. There are other producers that differently decide to do not stop the fermentation. So the Pasito goes ahead since the yeast are able to work, and maybe that the alcohol will rise up much more than 13.5. So that is the interpretation of the wine by the single winemakers.
Now, 15 was 15 considered a very good vintage, because it was good in France. I don't have no idea about Umbria.
Well, 2015 it was a very interesting vintage. We cannot say that it was hot. We cannot say that it was rainy. It was really well balanced. So we can say that 2015 it wasn't a tough vintage for a grower as it was the vintages we described before. If we want to give stars to a vintage, just to understand where is placed 15 or 17, if I well remember, the Consorzio gave 3 stars to the 17 and gave 4 stars to the 15. So also all the producer of the area described the 2015 as a better vintage than 17.
Okay, this is definitely sweet, and I really like it's very cherry. It's very cherry sweet, like the skin of a cherry, you know, and it's kind of like marmalade as well. But I can see how this would go with that salty cheesecake.
And try with the liver too. Don't forget it. Don't miss the opportunity to do it.
I know what you mean, because, you know, in France too, they serve the liver with chutney, you know, sometimes, not all the time.
Okay, of course.
This would go well. This is lovely. Bravo. Excellent. It's a delicious, you know, yeah, I can see that how it would be a Christmas lunch wine.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Okay, so we've got 2 whites, maybe
yes,
2 whites. Let me bring them over, okay?
No worry, there's no rush.
All right. Okay, so we have three whites that you so generously shipped over here.
Mhm.
So let me get those ready. And maybe we can pick the order, as to what you
Okay.
think is the best order. Let's see.
Let me know, what do we have?
Yeah. I'm just gonna, aviner, as they say. The glasses, so
Yeah. Rinse the glass, okay.
rinse the glass,
Right.
but with wine. I never rinse with water because, it's like, it's good to rinse. with
Never. Especially with the mayor water, full
What's
of
that?
chlorine.
Yeah. Also, the water in Strasbourg is too much calcium and.
I know.
Yeah. So,
I know.
okay. So anyway, let's do that. Okay. So we have the Grassetto, 2000.
Okay, Greghetto, yes, from
Greghetto, sorry.
Adanti Winery, 2019. Okay.
And we have
Greghetto is an indigenous, okay, and then we have,
Trebbiano Spoleto Vendemmia, 2019.
okay, Spoletino 19, fine.
Then we have a simple Bianco from, I can't pronounce it, Cacciadiavoli.
Yes, Cacciadiavoli.
Cacciadiavoli, sorry.
And this is a Montefalco Bianco, so this is a blend. Fine, okay.
So what should we do? What's your suggestion?
From my personal point of view, I think that we can start with Spoletino, then we can go to Montefalco Bianco, and at the end we can go with the Greghetto. Because Greghetto is the one that is more full body. So I think that it's better start with Trebbiano Spoletino. That is, we start with 100% Trebbiano Spoletino, then we move to a blend that is Trebbiano Spoletino, that is Trebbiano, that is Greghetto, and maybe other stuff, and then to again 100% Greghetto.
Very good.
So we see how the wines move because of the grapes.
Excellent. Okay, so we start with the Spoleto.
Well done.
Yeah. Thank you. So now this is basically, it's Trebbiano.
This is Trebbiano Spoletino. Trebbiano Spoletino is an indigenous grapes of Montefalco and Spoleto and Trevi, Castellitaldi area. So it's a very restricted area. A portion of Spoleto DOC appellation is the same than Montefalco area. Another portion is outside Montefalco area. We have about 24 producers of Spoleto DOC, and Trebbiano Spoletino, it's a grapes that was, we can say, recently rediscovered. It's not proper in terms, because grower here in the area never stopped to grow it, always did it, but mostly they was growing the grapes and making the wine for their own consumption. So they used to do it for themselves. In the last 20 years, of course, there was a very huge job with Trebbiano Spoletino, and Trebbiano Spoletino slowly became a DOC appellation. Today, it's recognized as one of the best white wine in Italy, with the ability to be aged from 20, 25 to 30, 35 years. And this is something that not all the white wines are really able to do.
20 to 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Trebbiano grape, now I might be making a huge mistake here, so please forgive me, it's being recorded, so I'll be embarrassing myself. Hi! Is the Trebbiano grape the same as the Ugni Blanc in France or not? It is.
You are right. So Trebbiano Toscano is Uni Blanc, and it's so good that the French used to distill it.
They make cognac, yeah.
So you know, that was the trouble for all the other Trebbiano in Italy. In Italy, there are many Trebbiano. Trebbiano Toscano, we told Uni Blanc, but there is also Trebbiano Abruzzese, Trebbiano di Romagna, Trebbiano di Lugana, Trebbiano Spoletino, Trebbiano Verde. So there's many Trebbiano. The names looks the same, but not the grapes.
Right.
Just to make you an example, Trebbiano Toscano used to be ripe, and so growers used to harvest the grapes in beginning of September. Trebbiano Spoletino used to be ripe at the end of October, beginning of November. So we're not talking of the same grape. Leaves are different. Just the names looks the same.
It ripens later.
Yeah, so the wood is different, the leaves are different, bunches are different, the skins of the clusters are different. So only the names looks the same. Why? Because the word Trebbiano comes from the Latin trebanus, that means indigenous. It's for this that after the word Trebbiano used to follow another word that specify indigenous of, so it's indigenous of Tuscany, Trebbiano Toscano, it's indigenous of Abruzzo, Trebbiano Abruzzese, is indigenous of Spoleto, Montefalco area, Trebbiano Spoletino. That's it. But we're not talking of the same grape. It's another RNA. It's another subject.
Let me get a photo. I want to get a photo of you too. Well, I know it's being recorded, but let me get my phone because this is great. I really enjoy this.
Happy you like it.
That's great. Oh, there you are. Smile. Yeah. Great. Okay. So anyway, so that's fascinating. I like it. It has some, it's only 2019, which I guess is a nice vintage for whites because this is quite nice. Was it a
2018? It was a gorgeous vintage.
Okay. Five stars?
Yes. Well, we didn't yet judge the 19, but let me have a spoiler. I think so.
Okay. And so how was this particular wine made? I mean, there's no oak, or maybe just a little bit of oak, but not much. I mean,
I don't think so. If you feel a smell like vanilla, it's probably it's almond.
Yeah, it's very almond. It's more almond. Yeah.
Almond is one of the features of the grapes. So the almond feeling, it's from the skin, it's from the grapes, it's not from aging in barrel wood effect.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I think it's quite a nice wine, and I think it's just I could even imagine it with I guess you could say a creamy sauce in a pasta with a little bit of scallops, or maybe even with veal. Veal in a cream sauce with mushrooms.
Don't tell me more. I didn't get my meal, so get my meal. So you make me dreams too much.
It's a very nice wine. It has a lot of density, and yet it's not. I mean, it's 14% alcohol, but you don't really feel that. Balance. So it has a lot of acidity, of course.
That's a point to underline. This area is the only area in the entire peninsula where we have two climatic conditions altogether. Usually there's territory in Italy where it's better produce reds, and other territory where it's better produce whites. Doesn't happen very often, or never happen, that in the same territory you can do great red wine and at the same time great white wines. And this happen in our area because we are the only tiny corner of the peninsula where we have a continental climatic condition, Why? Because the happenings comes down in the peninsula. When you arrive in the middle, they make a tiny circle and go down again. So we are living inside a cycle of mountain. So during the day it's hot, but during the night it's cold because of the mountains. But at the same time, we have a Mediterranean climatic condition because we are in central south part of Italy.
Yes, you're not.
So our one is more a Mediterranean climatic condition. But the both situation lives together and give us the ability to make big reds, big whites.
Yeah, well, it did get gold at the Gilbert et Gaillard International Challenge. So,
oh yeah, good job.
good for them. So now we go for the mixed, the blend of grapes, Montefalco Bianco.
Cacciadiavoli.
Yeah, which was established in 1884. So it's a very old domain.
Yeah, that is an historical winery. It's a very well-known producer in Hindi area. And in this case, Scacciadiavoli is submitting you a Montefalco Bianco DOC appellation. And as I told you, this is a blend.
So it's always a blend. When it says DOC Montefalco Bianco, it's always a blend.
It's a blend, exactly.
Okay. Okay, and it's this one is 13%, so it's a little lower in alcohol. And it says sola fides. Well, that's just an advertisement, I guess. Il sentimento che caratterizza la civiltà contadina. Well, it's nice Italian. I don't understand. I wish I did, but it sounds nice what they say there. This.
Well, do you want to translate it?
Yeah, I mean, maybe just.
Well, I'm trying to read it. Caratterizza la. This is. And I don't read the first word.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Contadina.
Come, aiutami Diana, che cosa dice la prima parola?
Civiltà contadina.
Well, you say that is wine that show the grower civilization.
Okay. I like that. I like that. Okay.
So we keep it. Of course, they describe it in a very serious way. I make it funny.
It's the color of the wine is a little darker than the earlier, the Trebbiano. So.
Oh yes, because when you change the grapes, of course, we will see the same example later when we will taste the Gregetto that will be even darker. Because of course the grapes move the wine in different direction. Trebbiano Spoletino is more green in color with green reflex. Gregetto is much more gold, rich in terms of color. So if we think that this is a blend, the two colors match each other, and it's something. It's a way in the middle. It's for this that I try to show you the wine in such order, so you understand one single grape, a blend, and another single grape.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I'm not. Maybe I like it, but I find the Trebbiano Spoletino more impressive. You know, this is nice. It has, but this is personal taste. You know, I just think there's.
You can say all you want.
Yeah.
You can say all you want.
It's just not. It's more herbal. Let's put it that way. It's a little more herbal, less fruit, and.
You know, the best wine is the wine that you like. So. And for me, it's fine.
But it's nice. There's a good, you know, it fills your palate. It has juiciness. It's a very nice white. Absolutely. Yeah. And I like the label too. It's very noble. You know, it's very noble looking.
Yeah, you are right. You are right. That this winery have a very long story, a very long tradition, a very beautiful story. So maybe if you have time one day.
I will go online and look it up.
Yes, exactly.
And now we go to what I'm excited about, because you said how do you pronounce it again? Grechetto?
Grechetto is another indigenous grapes. In this case, Grechetto, it's grown in the entire region. And so you can have different villages all around that that produce Grechetto wine from Grechetto grapes.
Mm-hmm.
So now you see just on the glass that we move into another direction. So it's another expression.
Let's see. I'm excited. Yes, it is. It is. Yeah, you said it's more of like a pale gold color. You know,
it is. The wine, of course, have a different structure, a different body. It's different.
Yeah. It has more of a full body, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's juicy. It's very nice. I think it's a lovely wine. But again, I feel like the Trebbiano Spoletino seems to be a little more expressive, at least a little more, you know, it's a little more like a, you know, more energy to it, I think. But let me just try it again. Yeah. Well, very different. I mean,
yeah, they are very different. We're talking of two different words.
It's fascinating.
So one wine go into a direction, the other one go into another. But this is fine. This is fine because you know, the problem is when you do not, as territory, when you do not give the opportunity to the consumer to make a choice. In our area, consumer can make different choices. So you can go to very elegant reds, to rich reds, to elegant fresh whites, to very full body rich whites.
Yeah, yeah.
And in the middle, we have also sweet wine.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Giampaolo, yeah. That's
so our shelf display a lot of stuff.
How long have you been president of the consortium?
Just 3 months. Just 3 months. Recently elected. Probably the guys of Mejia did a mistake, but it's done.
No, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
How long? And you're based in Montefalco in Umbria.
Well, I'm indigenous of Montefalco. I'm the fifth generation winemaker, so I grew up in Montefalco. My family always been from Montefalco, so I'm Montefalco citizen.
Montefalco,
100%.
And how long is your term as president? How long are you elected?
Usually it's three. No, usually it's 3 years, and so every 3 years we have new election. So anyway, I still have a lot to do. So 3 years of deep job, and I try to do my best.
You're still. Are you still directing your own winery, or are you?
Oh yes, of course. This is, well, the president of the consortium is not a job. Yeah. So all the president of the consortium that comes before me, so as me, we run our company, we run our winery, we do our wine, and then we spend a portion of our time to support the consortium and all the producer of the area. But our main job, it was and remain make the wine. So for all of us.
I'd like to know, would I be able to find out then who the producers are of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5? Because, you know, I want to post about this in an American website called Wine Review Online, which I think
to be honest, I do not have this information. You can try to write to the consortium or to dall'annata or Serena.
Maybe Serena,
they have such info. I cannot help you because I really do not know.
That's okay, but I think it's important to readers because, I mean, what I'll say is that, look, I tried these wines blind for the reasons you stated, that the consortium doesn't want to promote any specific brand.
You are definitely right, but you know, when we delivered the wine, it was in COVID period.
Yes, yes.
And we was in front of a decision. What do? Do we deliver 70 samples to every single destination? We're talking of a large amount of bottles.
Yeah, yeah.
And to many journalists. So in terms of delivery, in terms of works to follow all the samples and so on, it was impressive. So
Too much.
Exactly. Also for you, it was tough. Have 70 samples on the desk and do stuff like that.
I mean, it's possible, but it's just too much, you know. Yeah.
Exactly. But at the same time, we cannot say we decide for the 10 best producer for our point of view. We cannot do that. So anyway, if you ask to Diana, Serena, or the girls at the consortium, maybe that they have the information you are looking for, because you are right. You should know.
I mean, I should just say, but the way I would phrase it is that, as you just said, that the consortium doesn't want to promote specific producers, but they were just trying to be practical. And so there was a tasting and they picked, 5 representative samples. Fine.
Exactly. And as I told you, it's not the best 5 wines.
No,
it's just
absolutely
5 different corners. They give you 5 ideas.
And I think that's a nice way of putting it. 5 different corners to give you 5 ideas. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, that's good, because what I'd like to know is, what is the logic? Why is one? Does it come from a specific part of Montefalco that readers should know about? And maybe 5 being a little more closed. Is there a reason why it's more closed? So it'll be nice to know who they are.
I think that with this kind of specific information, like the number 1 was from this year, I think that the girls, they can support you with such kind of information.
That's very important. That's very important.
And they are very precise, so for sure they will do a good job, and they will.
Because another reason to be able to name them is because I'm going to name the white wines. We know the producer and the pasito and all that. So it's just in whatever I write, I will again stress the consortio is not playing favorites at all. It's not even picking what might be the best wines. It's just representative samples, and that's it. And for the reason you gave, that it was impractical to send all 70 member wines. So, I can do that in the text. That's no problem.
When we invite you, as many others in our area, we prefer it much more because we display what we have, and then it's up to you. If it's you that you decide to taste 5 producers instead the other 15, it's fine. But it's your own decision.
Yeah.
As a consortium, no, we cannot.
No. That's why. But I just think it's just practical to be able to explain why. And then in May, what I'll do is in the articles, I'll say, look, I'll look forward to visiting next year and tasting all of them. So I think it's just a fair way of explaining all this. So I think
you're right. You're definitely right, and we'll do it in a way or another. And when we hung the phone from this calling, we will provide the information you're looking for.
Thank you so much. Grazie mille. So, anyway, I really thank you for, especially all of you, for the patience you have for me, because I know that you sent them months ago. And I just
No, you haven't to thank you guys. We really, Montefalco area, and really thank you for keeping your time tasting our wine. Give us the opportunity to present Montefalco to your consumer.
Okay, my friend. Well, all the best. I think I will now taste them again more slowly, and as take my time. Also with number 5, I might decant it and all that. It's going to be great, and we stay in touch.
For sure, and we wait you, big guys from Montefalco, and thanks again.
All right. All the best to you. Okay.